A group of people wanted to belong. The door of a door, a legacy that has been passed along. And so these families began to build their dream, the sacred Jewish home of Chalutzim.
Guided by our past, we learn and teach and grow our tree of life, Tikkun Olam. We're not afraid to stand for what is right, planting the seeds to build a strong identity, loving kindness, justice, and community. I am Sinai, welcoming, loving Sinai, roots and tradition for the Jewish life's our mission, a shining light for me. That's why I'm Sinai, growing together, Sinai, found my connection. We're more than a congregation, we're a family. Standing here today, we know the journey's only just begun. Anive Atah, we build our future here with everyone. So join us to celebrate what's been and what will be. Together we'll make Jewish memories. I am Sinai, welcoming, loving Sinai, roots and tradition for the Jewish life's our mission, a shining light for me. That's why I'm Sinai.
going on, Archie?
Ya no está más en Betel, ¿eh? No, está en Hollywood. Sí. Le digo. ¿Todo bien? ¿Cómo anda el trabajo? ¿Bien? Bueno, eso es importante. Bien, acá trabajando un poco para variar. Tocar un poquito de música. 786. ¿Pero qué pasa acá? ¿Por qué no me...? Ah, bueno.
Shabbat Shalom. Nice to see so many of you here. Nice to celebrate as Matty Frankel becomes a bar mitzvah if he makes it to tomorrow morning. No, you're not going to make it till tomorrow morning? I'm going to make sure you make it till tomorrow morning. It's great to be able to, I was, for those of you who are regulars, you know, I was away last weekend. It's nice to be back and to celebrate Shabbat in our community. We begin page 128. Page 128. Hine Ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. How good and how pleasing it is that we get to sit together, be together in unity.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad.
Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Hine ma tov u'manayim shevet achim gam yachad. Just on the previous page on 127, we offer thanks, O God, for this Shabbat, which unites us in faith and hope, for Shabbat holiness, which inspires sacred living, for Shabbat memories glowing even in the darkness, for Shabbat peace born of friendship and love. We offer thanks and blessing, O God. Shiru Ladonai, come let us sing to God a new song, page 131. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadai. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadai. Sing unto God all the earth, and you song. I will sing unto God, and you song. Sing unto God, alone, sing alone, all the earth, and you song unto God. Sing together. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadai. Shiru Ladonai kol haaretz. Shiru Ladonai shir chadai. יעלו סיידה בכל אשר פה, אז ירנדנו כל הצייר. לפני אדוני קיווה לשפוט הארץ. ישפוט תבל בצדק ועמים ואמונתו. We think about Shabbat as a bride when It's that first moment when we get to see the bride. She comes in the door, and we turn and we welcome her beauty and her radiance. And we reflect that in one of our most ancient, almost 1,000-year-old piyut poem that we call Lecha Dodi, sort of "Come, my beloved," page 138.
לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
שמור וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד, אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, ושם ותפארת ולתחילה, לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לקראת שבת לכוון אל כי מקור הברכה בראש מקרב נסוכה, סוף מעשה במחשבה תחילה, לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. התעוררי, התעוררי, כי באורך קומי, אורי, 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 שיר דברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה, לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. We stand, we turn to the door, we welcome the Shabbat bride.
בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה ובצולה, תוך אמוני ים סגולה. בואי חלה, בואי חלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לה 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 לה. לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה. לך לך דודי, לקראת לקראת קלה, בני שבת נקבלה.
Seated. So, extra Shabbat Challah, if you can tell me who the woman is that is on the screen behind me. Emma Lazarus, not even the right continent. Henrietta Zold, also not the right continent. Okay, great. That gives me lots to talk about tonight. On Wednesday this week, we celebrated and we commemorated. Can you take a seat? You're gonna. Why should I have him stand?
So kind of you.
I'm going to do sermon in 3 parts tonight, so I'm just giving him a heads up. On Wednesday this week, we celebrated and we commemorated International Women's Day in honor of this global day celebrating the social economic, cultural, and political, and religious achievements of women, I wanted to lift up the story of one of the unknown women who changed Judaism and Jewish life. When I was ordained in 1996, the institution of women rabbis was very well established, even though it had only been less than 25 years since Sally Priesand. And no, that is not Sally Priesand. Sally Priesand received smicha from my alma mater, the Hebrew Union College Jewish Institute of Religion, in 1972. In my first year class at HUC, which was 1991, so just, literally 20 years after the first woman was ordained. In my first year class at HUC, women represented just a little less than 50% of the students. We saw the ordination of women largely in the context of the women's liberation movement, which reemerged in the late 1960s. Women rabbis were a modern and very recent phenomenon. Tonight, I want to introduce you to someone who was virtually unknown until 20 years ago. Even after I was ordained, this person was not known. While Sally Priesand may have been the first woman rabbi ordained in the United States, she was not the first woman rabbi. That distinction goes to this woman, Regina Jonas. I want to tell you her story in three parts tonight. I want to start by telling you Regina Jonas was born in Berlin on August 3rd, 1902. She grew up in a poor, mostly Jewish neighborhood. Her father, a merchant who died of tuberculosis when Regina was probably 10 or 11, was probably her first teacher. Early on, Regina felt a calling to the rabbinic vocation. Her passion for Jewish history and Bible and Hebrew was apparent clearly even in high school, where fellow students recalled her talking about becoming a rabbi. Now, a number of people supported Regina Jonas's interests, among them actually a couple of Orthodox rabbis who were a little more open to, in their attitudes regarding the Jewish education of girls. Rabbi Max Weil often officiated at the Reichstrasse synagogue. The Reichstrasse synagogue was the great synagogue in Berlin. Some of you may conjure up an image of a picture of it burning, and it's a very famous picture of the roof of it burning during Kristallnacht. The Reichstrasse synagogue was where Regina regularly attended with her mother and her brother. Rabbi Weil and Regina would meet once a week in order to study rabbinic literature and texts. In 1924, following high school, she attended a teacher seminar enabling her to teach Jewish religion in girls' schools in Berlin. She matriculated that year into what's called the Hochschule für die Wissenschaft des Judentums. That was the liberal institution, some might call it a seminary, that was there created to study Wissenschaft des Judentums, the scientific knowledge of Judaism. Okay, this was a liberal institution. Right? It was founded in Berlin in 1872. This liberal institution admitted women as students, right? But it was only Regina Jonas who hoped to become a rabbi. All of her other fellow female students were studying for teaching degrees. In 1938, she wrote, "If I confess what motivated me, a woman, to become a rabbi, two things come to mind: my belief in God's calling and my love of humans. God planted in our heart skills and a vocation without asking for gender. Therefore, it is the duty of men and women alike to work and create according to the skills given by God." At the Hochschule, Jonas's final thesis, unsurprisingly, dealt with the question of, may a woman hold a rabbinic office? A copy of this thesis is actually preserved in Berlin. Submitted in June of 1930, this paper is the first known document to find or to at least attempt to find a halachic basis, Jewish legal basis for the ordination of women. In her thesis, Jonas combined a halachic line of argument with kind of a modern attitude. She didn't follow the reform movement, which we are willing to let go of halakha, of Jewish law in the face of modernity. Rather, she wanted to deduce, right, the ability for women to become rabbis from halakha, from traditional Jewish law itself. Okay? And in this way, she kind of proved her independence of both orthodoxy, which held that the equality of women was incompatible with halakha, all right, but also from reform, which saw itself as the sole advocate for women's equality at the time. The key issue in her argument was this idea of tzniut, of modesty. She expected women, in particular, to reestablish values such as humility, restraint, and morality. In her opinion, here, listen to this. In her opinion, a female rabbi should not marry, okay? But every woman should have the freedom to decide whether she wants a life as a wife and mother or a profession according to her skills. In Jonas's opinion, women are especially fit to be rabbis because female qualities such as compassion, social skills, psychological intuition, and accessibility to the young are essential prerequisites for the rabbinate. Therefore, she argued, female rabbis are a cultural necessity. So let's find out in a little bit what actually happened with Regina Jonas. Since we are going to be celebrating Regina Jonas and Jewish women in particular, I'm going to invite Sarah Frankel, I think a leader in her own right, along with her son Maddie, to come light our Shabbat candles. Page 148.
Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks everything into being, skillfully opens the gates, thoughtfully alters the time and changes the seasons, and arranges the stars in their heavenly courses according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzviaut is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, Adonai, who brings on evening.
Baruch atah Adonai Amari Varabi.
Everlasting love, you offered your people Israel by teaching us Torah and mitzvot, laws and precepts. Therefore, Adonai, our God, when we lie down and when we rise up, we will meditate on your laws and your commandments. We will rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel.
Baruch atah Adonai Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated and join me in the chanting of Ve'afta. Ve'afta et Adonai Elohecha bechol levavcha uvechol nafshecha uvechol meodecha vehayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anohi metzavecha hayom al levavecha ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם, בשבתך, בביתך, ובלכתך בדרך, ובשוכבך, ובקומך, וקשרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו מה עשיתם את כל מצוותיי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohechem, amen.
Page 157. In a world torn by violence and pain, a world far from wholeness and peace, give us the courage to say, Adonai, there is one God in heaven and earth. The high heavens declare your glory. May earth reveal your justice and love. From bondage in Egypt we were delivered. At Sinai we bound ourselves to your way. Inspired by prophets and instructed by sages, time and again we overcame oppressive forces. Though our failings are many and our faults are great, it has been our glory to bear witness to our God, keeping alive in dark ages your vision of a world redeemed. Let us continue to work for the day when the nations will be one and at peace. Then shall we rejoice as Israel did, singing on the shores of the sea.
Mלכותך ראו בנך גיבונה את יעקב, וגלם יזזק ממנו ברוך. אתה אדוני גאל ישראל. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני, אלוהינו לשלום, אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו שומרנו, והעמידנו שומרנו לחיים. Spread the shelter of your peace over us. Guide us in wisdom, compassion, and trust. Hashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, v'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Save us for the sake of your name. Shield us from hatred, sorrow, and pain. Hashkivenu Adonai, Hashkivenu Adonai,
Eloheinu leshalom,
Eloheinu leshalom,
Hamideinu shomreinu People of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat in every generation as the covenant for all time. It is a sign forever between me and the people of Israel. For in 6 days the eternal God made heaven and earth, and on the seventh day God ceased from labor and rested.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם וליטולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם וליטולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל אותי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי ששת ימים עשה אדוני את השמיים ואת הארץ. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת וינפש, שבת וינפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת ברית עולם, ברית עולם.
So let's come back to the story of Regina Jonas. In the opening page of her thesis, Jonas wrote, "I personally love this profession, and if ever possible, I also want to practice it." On the last page, she concluded, "Almost nothing halakhically but prejudice and a lack of familiarity stand against women holding rabbinic office." That thesis received a grade of good. Soon thereafter, her thesis advisor at the Hochschule died, and his successor proved unwilling to ordain a woman. None of the other professors of the Hochschule raised their voices in protest, probably fearing a scandal. As a result, Regina Jonas graduated only as a religious teacher. In the following years, she taught religion in several girls' schools in Berlin, where she was known to be a very popular and committed teacher. In 1933, the workload for Jewish teachers increased tremendously, since students, due to Nazism, had to leave public schools. Those students not only needed basic Jewish knowledge, but they also needed to learn how to be proud of their Jewish heritage. Nevertheless, Jonas continued to pursue ordination. Finally, in 1935, Rabbi Max Dienemann, executive director of the Conference of Liberal Rabbis, agreed to her ordination. Her ordination diploma reads, "Since I saw that her heart was with God and with Israel, and that she dedicates her soul to her goal, and that she fears God, and that she passed the examination in matters of religious law, I herewith certify that she is qualified to answer questions of religious law and entitled to hold the rabbinic office. And may God protect her and guide her on all her ways." Regina was only granted a few years of rabbinic work in Berlin. In 1937, the Berlin Jewish Gemeinde, the official community of the Jewish community, began to employ her officially as a pastoral rabbinic counselor in its welfare institutions. She then officiated regularly at the Jewish hospital. With the rise of Nazism, more and more rabbis were imprisoned or had emigrated. So she also started to preach in the more liberal synagogues in Berlin. A group of regulars at the famous Neuschule, the flagship of German Jewry, had her preach at Havdalah services in the weekday synagogue. That's kind of like their chapel. Right? Jonas lectured often to Jewish women's groups. She herself put a strong emphasis on her pastoral work, visiting the sick in the Jewish hospital and caring for those elderly whose economic situation became desperate after Kristallnacht. Among her papers, there are many letters from abroad in which refugees thank her for taking care of their parents who had remained in Germany. We're going to find out what happens to her in a few minutes. We're going to continue page 164. Page 164, we invite the congregation to rise for Amidah.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi agid tehilatecha Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu Elohei Avotenu ve'imotenu Elohei Avraham Elohei Yitzhak Elohei Yaakov Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el HaGadol, HaGibor ve'anora, El Elyon, Kamel Chasadim Tovim, Ve'kondei HaKol, Ve'zocher Chasdei Avot ve'imaot, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם בעזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעם אדוני, מחיה כל אתה, רב להושיע. משיב הרוח ומוריד הגשם, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים באמונתו ישני עפר, מי כמוך בעל גבורות ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה, נאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני מחיי הכל. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום, יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
May be seated. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you blessed it above all other days, more sacred than all festivals. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and earth were finished in all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, and ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. Our God, God of our ancestors, be pleased with our rest. Sanctify us with your mitzvot and grant us a share in your Torah. Satisfy us with your goodness and gladden us with your salvation. Purify our hearts to serve you in truth. In your gracious love, Adonai, our God, grant us as our heritage your holy Shabbat, that Israel who sanctifies your name may rest on it. Praise to you, Adonai, who sanctifies Shabbat.
Baruch atah Adonai, mekadesh Shabbat.
Ever-present one, may we, your people Israel, be worthy in our deeds and our prayer, wherever we live, wherever we seek you, in this land, in Zion restored, in all lands, you are our God, whom alone we serve in reverence.
Baruch atah Adonai, shotcha levatcha, teira navod, modim anachnu lach.
God of goodness, we give thanks for the gift of life, wonder beyond words, for the awareness of soul, our light within, for the world around us so filled with beauty, for the richness of the earth which day by day sustains us. For all these and more, we offer thanks. Blessed are you, Adonai. Your name is goodness, and you are worthy of thanksgiving.
Baruch atah Adonai, atov shimcha, ulechanai lehodot. Shalom bracha al Israel amcha, tasim leolam. 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 Ki ata umelech Adon, echol hashalom. Ki ata umelech Adon, echol hashalom. Shalom bracha al Israel amcha, tasim leolam. Shalom bracha al Israel amcha, tasim leolam. וטוב עיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום ברכה על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. שלום ברכה על ישראל עמך, תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם. תשים לעולם.
Before we add the prayers of our heart to the prayers of our Siddur, we think about those who are in need of a blessing of healing of the body, healing of the spirit. On this Shabbat, we are especially thinking about Marilyn Beaumont, Osvaldo Barraza, Zelma Berger, Elliot Citron, Eliyahu Ben Reuven, Miriam, Elka Rock, Rita Gold, Marion Gordon, Ed Johns, Mindy Elizabeth Jones, Susan Jones, Jack Lieb, Howard Mendelson, Shoshana Dvora Bat-Chava, Barry Sugar, Nancy Simon, Murray Swift, Ruvain Ben Zelig, Vitsivia Halevi, Aryeh Tzvi Ben Sara, Kevin Webb, Peter Wells, and Sarah Wolf. Mi Shaberach Avotenu Abraham Yitzhak v'Yaakov v'Imotenu Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yavarech v'Yirapeh et Cholim Kodesh Baruch Hu Yamalei Rachamim Alehem Hachalimam L'Rapotam Hachzikam L'Hachyotam V'Yishlach Bimheira Refuah Shlema Refuat Nefesh Refuat Guf B'Tok Shar Cholei Yisrael Hashta Ba'agalau V'Zman Kariv and Omar, and we say Amen. You take a moment for silent personal prayer.
May the one who make peace in the high heavens make peace for us, for all Israel, for all who inhabit the earth. We say Amen, page 180, Ose Shalom, Bimbromah.
Ose Shalom, Bimbromah, Uyase Shalom Aleinu. Ose Shalom, Bimbromah, Uyase Shalom Aleinu. Ose Shalom, Bimbromah, Uyase Shalom Aleinu. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. Ose Shalom Bimbromah, Uyase Shalom Aleinu. Ose Shalom Bimbromah, Uyase Shalom Aleinu. Ose Shalom Bimbromah, Uyase Shalom Aleinu. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yoshvei Tevel. Yase Shalom, Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Israel. Yase Shalom, Shalom Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam.
In the winter of 1940-1941, the Jewish Gemeinde, the umbrella organization of German Jewry that was established by the Nazis in 1939, sent Jonas to several cities where they did not have rabbis. She would travel around to 5 or 6 cities and serve as a rabbi. In 1941, when most of those who had so far escaped deportation had to do forced labor and were therefore unable to attend regular services, the congregations instituted special services. Jonas, who was herself forced to work in a factory, led many of these. Survivors report that her sermons and her pastoral work were especially uplifting and encouraging. On November 6, 1942, Regina Jonas and her mother were deported to Theresienstadt. Even there, she worked as a rabbi, preaching and counseling. She was officially part of the Department of Mental Hygiene, which was led by none other than the psychoanalyst Viktor Frankl. On October 12, 1944, Regina Jonas and her mother were deported to Auschwitz and probably killed that same day. In the archives of Theresienstadt, there remains a handwritten document that summarizes her religious worldview and her legacy. Under the title, Lectures by the Only Female Rabbi, Regina Jonas, it lists 24 topics for lectures, followed by notes on a sermon which she delivered in Theresienstadt. Here she summarized her religious outlook and testament. Our Jewish people were planted by God into history as a blessed nation. Blessed by God means to offer blessings, loving kindness, and loyalty, regardless of place and situation. Humility before God, selfless love for his creatures sustain the world. It is Israel's task to build these pillars of the world. Man and woman, woman and man alike have taken this upon themselves in Jewish loyalty. Our work in Theresienstadt, serious and full of trials as it is, also serves this end, to be God's servants, and as such to move from earthly spheres to eternal ones. May all our work be a blessing for Israel's future and the future of humanity. The memory of Jonas's work and her status as the first ordained female rabbi should have lasted beyond her death, especially since she worked alongside several eminent men who survived the Holocaust, including Viktor Frankl and none other than Rabbi Leo Beck. But none of her male colleagues brought her work to light in the decades after the war. When Sally Priesand became America's first female rabbi in 1972, no one knew of her venerable predecessor in Europe. It was only after the Berlin Wall fell and East German archives, including those at Theresienstadt, became available that researchers were finally able to illuminate her work and legacy. When we think about the story of Rabbi Regina Jonas, we have to wonder, what would have been her legacy if she had lived beyond the age of 42? At the same time, we also need to ask, how many other heroic women's stories have been lost along the way? In 2 weeks, on March 23rd, during our face-to-face podcast, Rabbi David and I are going to be sharing some stories. We talked about it this week, and we thought about, let's do influential Jewish women. And then in our conversation, we made a distinction, right? There are lots of influential Jewish women. What we're going to do is we're kind of tweaking and we're turning that, rearranging the words of influential Jewish women, right, to be, and we will be speaking about women who influenced Judaism. Rabbi Regina Jonas was one of those women. You'll have to tune in on March 23rd or watch it later to hear about some of the other women who have made the dramatic changes to Jewish life. We are going to turn back to our Sidurim, to page 586. We're going to invite the congregation to please rise as the ark is open.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל עמונם. ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ונאמר והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד.
We turn our thoughts to those who are no longer with us, those who have given us the gift of memory. We remember these whose yortzites of our congregant loved ones we have commemorated over the past week. Nat Berlin, Marilyn F., Philip J. Friedman, Rose Glickstein, Robert Scott Goldberg, Molly Goldstein, Lillian Mosler Gordon, Isaac Halem, Hyman Koret, Dora Lakin, Calvin Landau, Jenny Landau, Carl Lokshin, Carl Julius Moose, Miriam K. Moss, Jack Muscat, Elizabeth Peterfy, Benjamin Peeknagura, Jacobo Peeknagura, Dr. Eli G. Rochelson, Sarita Rosenwald, Miriam Shalev, Jane Siegel, Lillian Strickoff, and Sarita Wiener. We acknowledge those who are remembered on our memorial walls who are listed below. We invite the congregation to please rise for Kaddish Yatom, page 598. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei rabbah, ve'alma divrach hirutei v'yamlich malchutei, v'chai echon v'yom echon v'chayei d'chol beit Yisrael, ba'agala u'vizman kari v'yimru. Yehei shemei rabbah mavarach le'alam olamei omaya, yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitaleh v'yitalal shemei d'kudashah. Le'elam min ko birchata v'shirata, tush bechata v'nechemata, damiran be'alma v'imru. Yehei shlama rabbah min shemaya, v'chaim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. O say shalom b'mromav, huya say shalom, aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru. Amen. May the source of peace send peace to all who mourn, comfort to all who are bereaved. Together we say, Amen. May be seated. Once again, want to wish all of you a Shabbat Shalom. Want to say thank you to all of our service sponsors, starting with Sarah and Adam Frankel, who sponsored, of course, in honor of Maddie, assuming, again, that he makes it to tomorrow morning and becomes bar mitzvah. We're excited about that. Thank you to Sandy and Don Goodman, Barbara Silverman, in honor of Carol Moss's birthday. The Finch and the Fresco families in memory of Sarita Rosenwald. Robin and Lee Goldberg, if you're on, it's nice to see and acknowledge you in memory of Lee's father, Robert Scott Goldberg. Ellen and Dr. Merritt Halem in memory of Merritt's father, Isaac Halem. Ann Landau in memory of Calvin Landau. Linda and Don Lokshin in memory of Carl Lokshin. Let's see what we've got going on. We've got, I think, is it the last of our I Am Sinai series? Hard to believe. Coming up March 18th. If you have not joined us for one of our I Am Sinai series, this is one to come to. Thanks to not only our president, Sage Cantor, but she's going to be hosting lunch for us, and she has invited Judge Scott Bernstein, who is for many years, 25 years, has been on the circuit court bench here in Miami, and he is an expert on the Holocaust and law. And so he's going to be joining us. Services are at 10:30, lunch, and our speaker right after. Come. It's helpful if you RSVP, then we know just a little bit better how to plan for lunch, but please join us. And then at the end of the month, Friday, okay, March 31st, I'm letting you know, we will not be having regular services. We're going to be having a family Shabbat service starting at 5:30. Everybody is welcome. We will say Kaddish, and we hope you'll join us. We're going to be talking about superheroes, superhero Shabbat.
I can be a superhero. I can. So
I don't know that song. We're going to be talking about superhero
to
values. This is not just Superman and Batman, but how we can be.
It's actually a very interesting program because we are going to talk about also Jewish values that could be used as superpowers in our lives.
So hope you'll join us for that. And Cantor, you want to kick us off?
This was an interesting
closing song here?
No, situation that you and I discussed earlier today, because I didn't know exactly the topic, but then I chose a song that actually is very fitting to this topic that you talked today. It's called I Have a Voice. And really, it was written by Elana Arian, also a very prominent, prolific woman who is a great composer of Jewish liturgy, but also this type of songs. And it's really talking about, as it says in the refrain, I have a voice, my voice is powerful, my voice can change the world. How fitting that is. So this is actually a call and response song. So maybe let's practice once to make sure that I hear you, because this is not just me, and let's see if I can get away from this. I want to hear every voice. It goes like this. I will open my eyes.
I will open my eyes.
I will not look away.
I will not look away.
With that, I think we are going to be in a good shape, very good shape. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I will open my eyes.
I will open my eyes.
I will not look away.
I will not look away.
I will use this gift I've been given every day. I will give to myself.
I will give of myself.
I will reach out my hand.
I will reach out my hand.
I will use this heart I've been given. Hey, take it stand. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. I will fight for the truth.
I will fight for the truth.
I'll stand up for what's right.
I'll stand up for what's right.
I will use these strengths I've been given and be alive. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. I have a voice. My voice is powerful. My voice can change the world. Change the world. Change the world. Change the world.
We're going to conclude our service with Kiddush and Motzi. We're going to invite Maddie back up along with his father, Adam, to lead us. Invite the congregation to please rise.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Borei peri hagafen.
ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם אשר קידשנו במצוותיו ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבה וברצון הנחילנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת, אותנו קידשת מכל העמים בשבת קודשך, באהבה וברצון ננחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השם